Just after 10:20 in its 13-year history, BBC Three has given birth to hit shows like Gavin and Stacey, Little Britain and Don't Tell the Bride. But from today, the youth channel will only be available online, on their website, iPlayer or YouTube channel. The move is a cost-cutting measure that will save the BBC £30 million. But could it alienate younger viewers from the BBC?
It's time to get more into YouTube. There's a new look, and it all starts on the homepage.
BBC Three, or it will be a major catastrophe.
Younger audiences increasingly are moving online, on demand, looking at content on screens wherever they happen to be, at whatever time of the day they want to consume content. And the challenge now is for us to take BBC Three and the brilliance of BBC Three into that world.
Well, let's talk to Damien Kavanagh, who is the controller of BBC Three. There is a slight delay on the line, even though geographically is only about 5 miles away from here. But Mr. Kavanagh, thanks for talking to us. How are you going to measure success? What kind of audience numbers are you looking at attracting for BBC Three online?
We've a range of measures, I guess. We're looking at, obviously, things like reach are really important to us, quality is really important to us, engagement with our audiences are really important to us. We're just going to have to, today is the first day, it's the launch of BBC Three. We're going to keep an eye on the numbers. We're going to we've set some KPIs for ourselves. We'll keep an eye on the numbers, and I guess from my point of view, what I want to see is it build day by day. I think, I worked on BBC Three in the early days, and I remember one of the things that Stuart Murphy said to me back in those days is all the slots on BBC Three that now rate 0, get them to rate something. So we're at the beginning of something, and what my job is to build it and make sure we make something and deliver something special for our audiences.
OK, what does KPI stand for, and what would be a good figure? A
key performance indicator. I imagine, what we're doing is we're trying to maintain, reach. I think, if we look at what we're doing with all our long-form shows, we'll play on BBC One and Two and good slots on BBC One and Two. And I look back and I see, the kind of figures that Asian Provocateur and Josh, our comedy, did when it played on BBC One. Those shows were doing 1.5 million. They're that makes them some of the biggest comedies in the UK at the time they go out.
But that's because they're on BBC.
Other than the massive shows on BBC One.
That was because they were on BBC One. Your most popular programme last Friday night on BBC Three reached just over 300,000. Do you want to replicate that kind of figure or get more?
It is, but we're measuring. But I think, Victoria, the thing is, what we're doing now is we're on a range of platforms. It's not just on TV. So we're looking across TV, we're looking across iPlayer, we're looking across social media networks, and that's where the audiences are. And the reason we're doing this with BBC Three, a really big part behind it is we realise that audiences. There's a lot of people who aren't coming to BBC television on a weekly basis in our demographic, in 16 to 34-year-olds, and we're now going to make content and new forms of content and put them onto the social media networks where they are. So this is a real attempt to fish where the fish were, as it were.
I totally get that, but the BBC Trust who approved the plan said this: the closure of the broadcast channel and the reduction in programme budget is being halved to £30 million will make it more difficult for the BBC to reach those aged 16 to 34. So you've got to accept that some young people will be lost to the BBC.
But listen, viewing behaviour of young people is changing massively. We were already losing audiences to young people by remaining on television and losing audiences at ever increasing rates. What we're trying to do with BBC Three and the plan behind BBC Three and the rationale behind it is to try and produce content in different ways and put them in different places to reach those audiences. You know, there's a real danger, I think, for an organisation like the BBC to stay standing still. We're an organisation that has to. We've always been pioneering. When BBC Online launched in the first place, people were saying, why are you taking money away from TV and radio, the things that we do traditionally, and putting it into something that's new and nobody knows how it's going to go? And I think, you know, that's what we're doing with BBC Three. Imagine BBC today without an online provision for its audiences. It's unimaginable, and I think that's exactly what we're trying to do. Yes, we might drop off in the early days, but I'm confident. I've got a brilliant team behind me. I've got absolutely brilliant programme makers producing brilliant content, and I totally believe that content will out. The world is changing and we can't stand still, and that's kind of, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, you will be preaching to the converted, to a lot of people watching this who watch our films and interviews online, on Facebook, on Twitter, on, you know, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Broadband, though, is a key issue, and some parts of the country still do not have good enough quality broadband. So, how much are you worried about that in terms of reaching young audiences?
That's why we've made the provision that you know, all our long form shows will play on BBC One and Two. There is a universality issue, and we need to make sure that all that content can be consumed by our audiences on BBC One and Two.
Will people need to pay for a licence fee to watch BBC Three programmes online?
People will pay for a licence fee to watch programmes. You know, there's a lot of BBC activity that's happening online at the moment, and they pay for a licence fee for the production of that content at its source. You know, and I think, you know, there's a lot of conversations happening at the moment. You'll be, you know, across all the conversations that are happening about iPlayer and tightening the loophole of the licence fee on that. There's, you know, it's a massive organisation, but I think what people pay their licence fee for is for us to produce purposeful content for them.
Yeah, but if you know, if you're a 21-year-old and you're just going to watch BBC Three programmes on catch-up, do you need a licence fee?
Well, you know what? That's a question for the regulators. I'm eyes down, really trying to kind of make the best content that we can and deliver it to our audience. I think the regulators will have to decide how, and you know, they close all the loopholes in the licence fee, because I think it's becoming a much more complex, ever increasingly more complex world, and I think the regulators are going to have to look at that.
There are reports that BBC Three and Radio One could be merged into some kind of youth division with one controller overseeing all youth audiences. I wonder if that means you might have to reapply for your own job.
Listen, as I say, I'm busy running BBC Three at the moment. I think I've got one of the best jobs in media. There's a lot of talk and a lot of speculation about what's happening across the BBC. I think, you know, in my mind, we do something quite different to what BBC Radio 1 does. You know, they do a fantastic job. We're committing to and investing money in new comedy. We're investing money in documentary. We're investing money in drama and talent-led entertainment. They do what they do. We do what we do. You know, there's collaboration. There's a lot of collaboration across the BBC doing on BBC Three project. You know, to date we're working really closely with news, we're working really closely with sport, we're working really closely with BBC Trending, and lots of other areas across the BBC. I'm a collaborator, and I'll collaborate with anybody who, you know, has content that we feel will serve our younger audience. Yeah.
Give us some, I mean, you've talked about the different genres. Give us some ideas of actual programmes then that we're going to see online.
Well, if you tonight, I think, and I'd urge everybody to watch an incredibly powerful documentary. The Life and Death Row is back tonight. The first episode, utterly compelling. It's available on iPlayer now, actually. There's 3 episodes in that series that won a BAFTA. Series 1 won a BAFTA. We've done something quite special with episode 4 of that, where we've done a retrospective story, where we're telling it over 8 to 10 minute episodes with lots of supporting content online. We launched Cuckoo, incredible comedy tonight with Greg Davis and Taylor Lautner. And going forward, we've got a whole range of documentary, a whole range of comedies. And I think one thing I would say for people to look out for is a drama that we have called 13, utter compelling drama written by a brilliant young writer, Marnie Dickens.
Look forward to it. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck, Damien Kavanagh, who is the controller of BBC Three, with his new logo. And on the BBC News channel at 11:30, your questions on the BBC Three switchover will be put to media expert Steve Hewlett. Send us your questions texting 61124 or by using the hashtag BBC Ask This.